Good morning, LinkedIn friends. Happy Friday, June 20th, 2025. It is time for another episode of Let's Build AI Skills with Nico, George, and Chris. Good to see you fellas survived another week of AI evolution, advancement. I don't even know what to call it anymore. How you guys doing?
It's yeah, I don't, that is a good point. I'm not quite sure. I mean, yeah, I guess I would just call it evolution at this point. But yeah,
Yeah,
doing all right.
it's crazy. Doing good. Um, read a headline this morning and was like, "Oh, there it is." It was talking about a solo uh person, developer, Israel, uh, sold vibe coding to Wix for 80 mil. A day that a solopreneur can wake up and make 80 mil. It's a whole new world, and I think we've been saying that for about the last, I don't know, several years. But me personally, I don't have 80 mil, and I'm still doing okay today.
Yes, you are. And still showing up. Interesting. Like there's this feeling, I don't know, it felt like it was a light week for me, at least on the news side of things, probably just because it's been so manic about like just drops every which away from the majors, right? So
Mhm.
like when they do anything, it's news. But something I think is insightful is so where the breakthroughs have been for me this week is actually using stuff and just noticing that it's better. Like the results are better.
Oh
They're
yeah.
easier. And it's like this is the point where I'm seeing more stories about, oh, I used to do it this way, and now it's 5 minutes, right? And like getting my repair shop done, and they over invoiced me, and I helped GPT like figured it out for me. Like it's just that stuff keeps showing up around me. It's happening to me, like Breeze specifically, and like Copilot and HubSpot is continuing to just pop up in like random places of the portal and be good. And it's good. Like when it pops up now, it's not just like, oh, we're trying this. This is a summary, but the
Right.
summary's way off. But this is coming. No, like when that stuff pops up or when I click the button now, it's like, oh, okay, maybe we can see the whole portal now. Maybe we can understand the whole portal now. And
Mm, 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 mm.
so that's been my week. Nico, you shared an interesting post yesterday about, oh yeah, it was interesting. You told me about it before in the Slack
Mhm.
about just building like an image generator app of some sort,
Yeah.
and it took you a few minutes. And then I see the post on LinkedIn where you actually did it on a training call
Yeah.
with somebody who was just had signed up for some training on AI.
Yep. Yeah. Really interesting too because is my first student that came to me that out of the gate was their initial uh thing was that they were feeling the anxiety, and they were feeling the anxiety of AI creeping in and potentially like eroding things from underneath their feet, and so they wanted to like position themselves better and like get to know what's going on. And so we went through an exercise that like you and I have been through, and have shown people countless times, um, where we basically play like, hey, let's create a job. And in doing that, you essentially do, there are tons, obviously, of AI tools out there. And it's one of those things where it reminds me of Photoshop, when I first started using Photoshop. And like, there's plenty of stuff you could do elsewhere with all other types of platforms. But if you know how to use the basic thing, then you can do all of those things too. It's just that like you might have to do a tiny bit more effort than the one.
No. He might be
Uh-oh.
frozen on Nico.
Yeah. I
Whoa.
think he's froze.
Whoa.
Maybe. There we go. We're
There
back.
he's back.
We're back. Yeah, so we jumped into Claude and of course had GPT and Gemini at the standby and started messing around with, hey, let's take a look at market effects and let's take a look at best apps that we could build right now and that kind of stuff. And we went through the whole here's how you do GTM strategy and how it can find your target market for you and can show you, the I think one of the greatest takeaways for them was the fact that you can not only do your GTM, but you can actually research your ROI before you even start doing whatever it is you're going to do. Take a look at the target market. You can understand exactly what percentage of the market you need. So after we did that, they were like, well, but how do you actually do anything with all of that data? Like, what do you do with it? Like, how do you actually like penetrate a market or whatever? And I was like, yeah, you create apps and you just throw apps out there. Like it's some of the easiest side income that you can do right now is to just like build an app, throw it out there for $1.99 and just sit back. And even if it only picks up a little bit, you could have 10 apps out there within 2 weeks. It's, some of it is going to bite and you could start earning trickle income like on a monthly basis. So yeah, we were just playing around and I was showing how, it doesn't take much, you can use a lot of different applications to do this kind of stuff. And it's very, I wouldn't say like one button click necessarily, but it's very much the case that that you can go between like a couple different models and have something put together extremely quickly with little or no effort whatsoever. So yeah, I'd love to show this because it's just one. Let's see, 3 prompts. Okay, so this is a 3 prompt application. Just started out with this. Can you build me an application that'll auto generate keywords for images that I upload to it? If you guys are marketers, you know this tool. You probably use it in Google, and you probably hate having to spend money every time that you have to do this with an image, right? I used to do this, so I know exactly the process, and I definitely don't want to sign up for it, even though it's really awesome, right? Because that's kind of what was so awesome about it is that, it had a little bit of AI behind it at a time in which they didn't want to talk about it to be able to identify objects and do that kind of stuff. So it went off and started kicking off this keyword generator project. And of course, gave us the rundown of what it was going to build, the MVP, and then said, later on we can do some of this stuff. Took 14 actions. So when I talk about a completion, right? So this was one completion that cost us $0.25, right? Just to get to like this, but that completion included like one message and 14 different actions. So it's not like you're getting charged per code change or per file change or something. So it made the MVP, but there was an error and we couldn't actually load the image into it. And most people would probably at that point be like, well, see, apps, it's not that great. So, can't one shot it. Okay, cool. There's an error. Go take a look at it. That's how simple that is, right? So then it worked after that. And it was really cool. Well, no big deal. Then it came back on its own and was like, hey, I noticed that you have an OpenAI key. Why don't I throw that in there too? It was something I was going to do because, like, why wouldn't you want it to use an LLM to go do research to generate the keywords? Plus, you can use the multimodality of being able to see the image. I didn't ask it to do that though, right? It was just like, hey, do you want to? It's same thing with this database suggestion. This has been up here almost since the app launched because that's one of the principal things that you would do afterwards is build a database so you could build a login so that you could start having people, so that you could start charging them money so that you now have an app. See how easy that was? Okay. So after it was all done and it's like, yeah, I want to connect the LLM, I was like, well, okay, well, how about we do tenant number 4? We take it one step further. And on top of doing all the cool keyword stuff, we'll also create an image prompt that people can use. So if they have a photo, but they want to use it somewhere else and they want to use, the graphic representation of it, but they don't want to have to sit there and figure out how to describe it, right? And so in about 15 minutes, we've got our image keyword generator. And so let's go grab an image off of Google.
It's going through your mind right now, George.
I mean, it's just never been easier to launch anything, like anything, right? Like Nico right now is talking about apps and building stuff. I literally have been able over the last 5 to 7 days launch an entirely new community around a topic that people probably didn't know I was passionate about, on an app that already existed, but by being able to create the content and the concept to launch the thing. Like, um, yeah, so my brain is screaming. I wish everybody understood it has never been easier to launch. There was a post that I was reading yesterday, and it said, and by the way, sometimes I hate when people do this. I don't hate the person, but I hate the thing. YouTube's free. This is free. This is free. This is free. Start the time ain't free, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, so and start that business. Okay, I know you're trying to be inspirational, and I get it, but I see a lot of people saying that free thing. Belief ain't free.
No.
That's the breakdown. Belief ain't free, right? You have to have the belief that you can do what Nico is showing. You have to have the belief that people are going to want to hear or use the thing that you're dreaming of.
I so hate to cut you off. You know I would never do this. Midjourney does video now.
Oh, yeah. Yesterday was the release of this. Yeah. I saw this headline.
Oh, my.
It's 5-second clips. Just
I don't care.
No. It's 5-second clips. It's their usual aesthetic. But yes, Midjourney, and it's only web based. But you can do video on Midjourney now. Yes.
Oh my God. You guys don't understand. Like, the other image generators are cute to me. They are cute because if you haven't used Midjourney, you don't know what's up. If you want to use like the Photoshop of image generators, that's Midjourney. You have ridiculous control. You can create the most spectacular images you've ever seen. Like, it dwarfs everything out there. It's not great for graphic design, for doing text. Don't care, because I can take that image, go take it over to GPT and add the text to it, or take it over to Gemini and add the text to it. Outside of that, like just the styles, like this is uncanny to me. Like, I have seen a lot of video generators and they're all pretty decent, but like, even that, if that's the biggest mistake, it didn't even like morph. It's just that she kind of threw it to the other hand at not the right speed.
So Nico, I have a question.
Insane.
You just realized this like right now?
Yeah, well, look,
Chris,
man, I'm not
Chris,
on every platform.
I know. Chris, can you ask me what's on my mind now?
What's on your mind, George?
I am victorious. I knew something a day before Nico knew it. All the reading, paying attention to the feeds paid off finally.
Oh, man. Speaking of the use case of building an app and then recreating images.
Right.
Oh, this is real life, folks, though. This is how fast it's moving. And, you know, it's hard when you're inside of a business and you've got a task to do. Like, but again, that's the message from leaders in the space right now. Like, if you create this kind of structure that does not allow for discovery and agility and quick thinking and execution of the quick thinking, that's the way it's always been, right? And yes, we need to get the task done, but literally, you might have created a process and then ask somebody on the team to do the process, and then they run into something brand new that they know would be made like huge impact. And if you have a culture where they're not allowed to go down that road, like, you're holding your whole team back. And not only are the results going to get, like, you're not going to see the amplified results, the better results, but you're inherently like tamping that person's energy down because they can't use the new thing, right? It's hard to describe, but that's why when Nico says like the training, like come discover AI, literally, it's like we're gonna do the thing right in front of your face, so you can see how easy this is, and connecting those dots of I can think of this thing, and then 5 minutes later I can see it on a screen. Like that's power, and I love how you put it, George. Like that's our whole mission right now is crossing that belief bridge
Yeah.
from that 0 to 5 minutes, because that's all it takes. Usually it does not even take 5 minutes, right? When you spin up one of these things and then you go to the second response, right? You don't stop at the first one. It's cool if it does it in one shot. Usually it doesn't. But that power, that conversational power of, oh, but how about a little bit of this? Like think back to the days where that was a separate team that you had to email and set up a meeting, and it took you a week to just realize and discuss like the iteration and the vision. And honestly, by that time, you lose the gas, you lose the motivation. You know, you get back, and how many times have we done this where you like get to that, oh, maybe that wasn't as cool as I thought it was now that
Mm.
a week has passed, right? And
Yeah.
we we're so good at justifying what we're thinking in any given moment. So we say, like, you know what, it probably wasn't that great, probably a distraction, you know. And now we're just seeing in the moment innovation, like, gotta get on board.
At a speed that's like you guys, we, I put together and Chris has chucked some information into it that's made it real good too. Um, put together this like oracle, and it's kind of funny because like Grok is supposed to be this, right? But I actually see what we built as the maximally truth seeking AI or like project. Like what we built, you could basically give ideas to, and it will validate the idea and or reject it, and then like tell you why. And if it validates it, it'll tell you like why it's valid. Yeah. Okay. So like product advertising just that's nuts. Do you have any idea how much time? Look at this slider. How much time I have spent on Midjourney? It's been since version 4. That's how long I've been on this platform. I have like images when way back. I was going to write this detective novel. Not that I really want to, dive too deep into this stuff. I have styles, mood boards, like, way back. I think it was 4. Maybe
And
might
this is
actually have
like
been 3. Wow,
the
I think it was 2.
the
Yeah.
ability to like add to the foundation of creation, right?
This
Like
is old, by
back
the
to
way.
that
This is the
story.
3rd version of Midjourney. When people were like, "Oh, like image generators," so how old is the 3rd version of Midjourney? Like almost 2 years old now. I'm not joking. This is probably like a year, 8 months at most. Okay, when other image generators could barely do anything, Midjourney was doing the most amazing stuff that you'd ever seen, right? And like even when it came to like a lot of my friends were just like, okay, that's not fair, because like they're all huge comic book fans, and it's like, yeah, I can take any. This was back when they didn't have the restrictions, so I could do like, hey, this in Guy Denning style, or like do this in Todd McFarlane style, or whatever. So I had a lot of fun doing different different images. Yeah, Frank Frazetta, right? So like you could see what was cool was being able to take stuff that wasn't Frank Frazetta's art, like a still life or whatever, and put Frank Frazetta on it and see what that would have looked like in his style, right? Like, to me, that was like the coolest thing, was like, oh my gosh, I can actually stylize all of these things. Um,
Yeah.
and so
Early
yeah, like
23.
yeah, I was writing a book initially, and it was a sci-fi novel. And so in order to write the book, I was like, you know what would be awesome is if I could visually see the novel. And then that way I'm writing to what I'm seeing, and I'm not writing to like nothing. And so that's what a lot of this stuff started out as, was like, oh, okay, I can just build up the scenes and then I can just write to the scenes, right? And like, this was my main character basically. And um it was a detective that worked with a android detective, and how the two of them had to, solve murders together. um but
Can
yeah,
I can I
it's
say
it's pretty
something?
crazy.
Like, I know you didn't mean to drop like a holy wisdom bomb, but in you talking about this, there was a holy wisdom bomb there, because you said, I want to write the story to which I can see.
Mm,
And if you're sitting here watching this and you have no vision for your future, what story are you going to write? Like, you have to have the vision, you have to be able to see, you have to be able to believe, you have to be able to encapsulate where we're at and where you want to go. And so my word for this episode is vision for the journey.
Yeah. And if you're out there, and because different analytical minds and, different brains out there can sometimes have tough time with visionary like ideas. And if you're a process person, right, just start talking to any of these assistants. Be like, what's the process for developing a vision, right? Like, help me figure out what the vision I need, or vision that's going to help me have fun and do things that make me happy, like give me joy, like all these things. And so much of this, like what we're seeing right now, Nico did, 2 years ago. Like, let's say he had used other tools or the traditional formats. Like, this is sitting in a Google Drive somewhere, not nearly as accessible. If he wants to get back to the book, like, it's such an effort to revisit it. And now, like, so many decisions get made because there's going to be a sunk cost. We feel like, oh, I might do this work, but then if it doesn't work, will I j- will that have wasted my time, right? Will I not be able to use it for anything else? And the ability to just iterate endlessly in seconds with these tools, that's where the creativity is going to come from, because now we're 2 years down. Nico has all this access to all of the tools. And like, I wouldn't be like, I mean, the book's probably coming out now in a couple months, right?
yeah,
Now
I
that
mean, I've
it's
already
so
released
easy, right?
I've already put out two. The third one is probably going to be out at the end of this week. I'm almost done listening to the last edit for it. um so yeah, I mean, it's never, honestly, like, okay, outside of a physical job, right? If what you wanted, even if it is a physical job, like, you don't, so like, one of they were talking to me about how they were trying to find a job, trying to help find a job for somebody. I was like, okay, well, what do they do? They were like, oh, they're a interior designer. And I was like, oh, that's, yeah. See, so you guys, you can't actually get around things in Midjourney and image generators if you understand how to use the pseudonames of those characters that, the engines aren't really trained on, right? So everybody knows who the Cape Crusader is. Um, but yeah, they were like, oh, interior designer. And it was one of those things where, like, yeah, they use GPT, and they know about GPT, but they didn't realize how awesome vision is. And so I showed them, like, hey, like, check this out, and set it up. And I'm like, yeah, take a look at the room in front of me, and like, what could I do in order to spruce it up and make it better? And it started making all these suggestions, and their face just lit up. And it's like, it kind of doesn't matter. Like, if you wanted to be a baker, you could have this thing have vision on and sitting above you and watching you do what you do. and asking it like, hey, is it about the right time that I add this? Or, does this look like the right color it's supposed to be? If you were a painter, would an XYZ color look good on this wall? This, that, or the other thing, right? Being able to use GPT image, like, okay, you're an interior designer, you walk into a room, you take a picture of the room, you put that in GPT image. You take pull up GPT voice, use GPT vision, start talking about the room, start talking about design aesthetics, take those design aesthetics, go back into GPT, load the image in, and then ask it to apply the design aesthetics to the image and create a new image for you so that you could see what the simulation of the room would look like. Right? Like, that's part of the whole, like, take it one step further, always go like one more, like, and it's like, okay, well, if I could do that, then where do we go from there? It's like, well, from there you could go to a 3D a image to 3D program, which is also something that's available. It's also free. A lot of this stuff is free on Hugging Face. You could use that, and then you have this 3D rendering of the room, right? So if you are a virtual interior designer, like you're a consultant, you can practically be in someone's home and show them what their home is going to look like anyway, without ever having to set foot in it. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And we looked at it, and the stats on this field alone were like growing by like 10% a year or something like that. Again, we were able to take a look at like, okay, well, how much market penetration do we need in order for this person to make at least $6,000 a month? And it was like, you need like 0.07 market penetration, and globally, you're looking at 40.5 billion people who take part in interior decorating, or have their interiors redesigned on an annual basis. Blah blah blah. So it's like, yeah, well, I think yeah, you're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a whole new world where, in a lot of cases, like I think that we should see the most startups in history this year. Every year that should kind of grow exponentially, and there's no reason that you can't. There just isn't. It doesn't matter what kind of business you want to start. You now have the ultimate business partner that not only couldn't steer you wrong. Again, like, if you build them like we build them, it could actually help you to make the right move before you even know that you've got to make that move.
Yep. And so I think what we're saying here today, it's just do what you need to do to put the idea, the picture, the food, the whatever your interest is, just in front of AI, LLM, the assistants, whatever. Like, step one is that. Step two, all the questions that Nico is asking out loud.
Yep.
You could just ask it those questions, right? Like, what do I do next? This is awesome. I want to do more of this. Like, what's the plan? What other tools could I use? Like, all of that, it will help you to the next steps. So I love like your positioning at the front, like the person that came up. If you have anxiety about AI, it's right there. Like, it's usually related to questions, or I don't know what's going on, or I don't know what to do. Right?
Fear the
Pick
unknown.
the nearest thing next to you, whatever brings, again, if you don't know what brings you joy, that's where you go over to the superhuman framework with George to figure that out.
100%.
But if you do, which most of you do, you just got to dig. Like, start there.
I don't know. I wouldn't be too quick to get off of that one. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like, figuring out, and this is, I mean, like, George is amazing at this, figuring out what brings you, part of what I did yesterday, part of, if you do any training with me, part of what I do, and you'll get this question, what brings you joy?
Yeah.
George is I honestly, I can't, hopefully when you come to me, you already know. If you don't, it's going to take a minute, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to help you with that part, but I'll help you with other stuff. And I have recommended several people to go to take George up on the superhuman framework. Honestly, it's like, think about it this way. Dirty data. Dirty data has to be clean before you can use AI, right? Your head's got to be straight. You got to be laser. Yeah, that's right, buddy. That's right. You got to be laser focused, right? You got to have your head in the game. You got to know what you want, and you have to have drive. Please, 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 please don't. I know this sounds really harsh. Don't come to me if you don't have drive. Like, don't come to me for AI ideas for you running and starting your business, because I have millions of them, and they're all worth millions of dollars. But if you don't have drive, none of it means anything. And if you want to find how to get there, and if you want to figure that out, right, that's what the superhuman framework is all about, right? It's all about like just putting you in that mindset of being the best you that you can be every day, right?
All right, let's give George the last word here.
Oh, last word as in
Yeah.
singular? That's almost
I
difficult.
mean,
Like, listen.
take us out. I need help getting us out of here, George.
Yeah, listen. Here's the deal. It's funny because Chris, you leaned into something that I was thinking as Nico was talking, like the power of the question, right? And so if I boil like where I'm at right now mentally based on this episode, it is like you do need to know what brings you great joy. That should be the base of the vision that you have. Once you have the vision you have to be vulnerable enough to say, I don't know. I need to be the master that is a student. Let me go ahead and ask these 27,000 questions that can get me to my $1 million idea so that I can live a life of freedom that I once only dreamed about because of the garbage in my head. But because I've done the work, now I get to live it each and every day.
So if you needed something to think about this weekend, now you got it. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.